Hello, my name is Hakon, and welcome back, all you fabulous fighting fantasy aficionados, for yet another episode of Fighting Fantasy Gamebook Play. And today I am playing for the second time Fighting Fantasy Gamebook number 4, Starship Traveler by Steve Jackson. A shameless Star Trek homage, I should say, I suppose. It's very heavily inspired by Star Trek. You are the captain of a starship called the Traveler, and you and your crew and your ship are, well, accidentally, you might say, pulled through a black hole or a void. What do they call it? A Celestian void, a wormhole that brings you into a parallel universe. Your mission, which you have to choose to accept regardless, is to find your way back to where you come from, which is that Earth or just your own. Yes, it's back to Earth. I mean, it could have been another place. It is science fiction after all. You don't have to base it on Earth. Excuse me. So, this is the first science fiction volume in the Fighting Fantasy series, and it's the second one that I've played now, but the first proper science fiction one. And I'm last time I didn't play for very long, and I must admit that I was really ignoring the signs quite willfully when I sort of went into a trap at the end, because actually technically I didn't have time to play anymore at the time. I was making the video, so I actually wanted to find a place to end it. And as you know, I don't really like just ending in the middle of it. I have to end with winning or the game being over in another way. So therefore, I decided when I got to a planet where I was given the option of having my whole crew beam down, despite the signs being really obvious that that was not the wisest thing to do. I did it anyway because I needed to finish up. So sorry about that. This time I do have more time on my hands, and I will do it properly. And maybe I'll learn something new about this parallel universe this time. Maybe I'll learn something new about how to get back home. And in any case, I'm going to enjoy myself, and I hope you will too. So I'll be with you in a moment after I get my things ready on my desk. So let's get started. Starship Traveler. Right, and here we are. I'm not sure if actually I put the... Did I focus the camera correctly? Just give me a moment there. Just do like so. Hang on, that's not right. That's about right. Okay. So, unfortunately, this current setup I got, it does not allow me autofocus on my main overhead camera while I'm playing, which means I can't sort of do like this and show you the pictures, for instance. But I think that will still work. At some point I might upgrade to something that will autofocus while recording, but at the moment, if I wanted unlimited recording time, which is really nice to have, my only option was to take the picture out from the camera via HDMI, and when you do that, it does not automate any functions on the camera. So it seems. I don't think it's possible, but it still works well, and it does not shut off or anything like that, which is brilliant. So, right, I've got my supplies ready. I've got my dice, which I must make sure I don't keep out of shot here now. Okay, so I'm sitting a little bit further to the right than I should be. Okay, so there we are. And I've got my book, got my pen and pencil, and I got my character sheet, and I got the map that I made last time. This is not the most reliable star chart at the moment, but it shows me some things that I shouldn't do, and it shows me some things that I maybe should do. I still don't have any definites of what I am supposed to do, but I think somebody gave me a tip that maybe if I made a slightly different choice on the planet where I failed my mission, which is probably what I would have ended up doing if it hadn't been for the fact that I was planning to end my mission there. I might get an advantage that might help me later. So I'll see about that. Right. And as I have mentioned in another video, I do have a new sound recorder. So if it picks up any odd sounds that is not me speaking, it's because it is so much more sensitive than my previous recorder. It picks up any sound in the house, whether it's the boiler, the heating, anyone using a sink. Of course, I'm not using a sink right now, but if the sink had been on, the washing machine, and of course anyone, a loud car driving past, a dog barking, somebody knocking on the door, etc., etc. It picks up everything. I do have a plan for isolating the sound a little bit, but that's for another day. I'm still expecting something in the mail from Amazon about that. But sorry about the rambling. Without further ado, I will get started now. And first of all, I need to establish my abilities, which is a ship's ability. Let's see. Oh, just give me 2 seconds. I'm just checking something now. Okay. Right, so ship's abilities. And of course, this is a bit different from most of the game books in that you have a crew. A crew of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in addition to yourself. So, and of course, you have a ship as well. So you got 7 sets of stats, really, to keep track of, which also, by the way, will make it a bit more complicated when the time comes for me to do my simulation of this game. But seeing as it is a Steve Jackson game and based on Citadel of Chaos, I think a lot of the trick to winning this game is not your abilities at all. It is your choices. With a little sort of sprinkling of randomness on top for abilities. And of course, your abilities will potentially help you rather a lot if you make the wrong choices. So, which is a very good way to design a game book, I think, because it means that you have a larger chance of making it through even when you don't make the absolutely correct choices or follow the correct path. So I think that Steve Jackson seems, based on Citadel of Chaos and what I've seen so far of this book, it seems like that's something he's good at. And also it does give you hints about things you shouldn't be doing, which is very useful if you want to do the wrong thing like I did last time and you want to fail because you don't have any more time. Anyway, without any further ado, I will get started now. So, first of all, I got my ship's weapon strength, which is like the ship's skill, although it does work slightly differently in combat, which I found out last time. And the reason being, of course, is you're not comparing your skill to your opponent. Your skill in ship-to-ship combat is your ability to hit the other, really, so regardless. So that's a bit different. You're not comparing them. You're actually testing against your ship skill, as it were, which is called weapons strength. Weapons strength, not weapon strength. There we are. More than one weapon, I would hope. So shields, let's see, that is 1 die plus 12, so that is 15. Also very special rules for how the shields are reduced, and also they reduce more as you get lower because you take more damage. Very clever design, actually. I think the ship-to-ship combat, we'll get to that at some point, most likely. Let's see, so each of these, it's a normal skill stamina for the crew. So captain is skill 12, stamina 21, that's quite good. Science officer is skill 9 and stamina 16, that's alright. Medical officer is skill 8, stamina 15. Security officer is skill 11 and stamina 20. Engineering officer is skill 10 and stamina 20. Guard number 1, let's see what guards were different, were they? Let's see, 2 security guards. Yeah, the guards were rolled the same way, so that a guard with 9 skill and 17 stamina, one with 8 skill and 18 stamina. Now, because some of these people are not trained in combat, the only ones who use their full skill for fighting is the captain, the security officer, the guard, and well, they're both guards. And the other ones, when they're in combat, they get a -3 on their skill. Let's put that there so I remember. And their skill really is their ability to do their own job. So a science officer's science skill is 9, or mine is. A medical officer is 8. Engineering officer is 10. So that's their skill at doing their job as well. And if one of these dies or is lost on an asteroid, for instance, I don't know how that could happen, but it did last time because I was being stupid. Then they've got one extra person who's an assistant who will take over their job but not be as good as them at doing it. But I'll get to that at some point. So that's the official character sheet there. One of these days I am actually planning to make proper character sheets when I do these things, but I just don't think about it until I start playing, and then I'm sitting here with my pad, and that's what I've got. So right, and I also got some water today, of course. And right, I'll just take a short break. I'll be right back. Right, I am back. Sorry about that. As you know, if you've seen my channel, I do not like making cuts unless I really have to, so I do apologize. I do try to avoid jump cuts, and I'm definitely not a big fan of those people who just do jump cuts in the middle of sentences even. I mean, what's that about? It's just a strange thing, and many of these people who do that, they are people who actually make videos, so they should know basic video techniques where you don't do that. If you want to do that, you need 2 cameras so you can swap between them. Anyway. Right, so I'll be back, and I've done everything now, all my stats apart from luck. So let's see, luck. Yes. Luck, yes. So that is the usual 1 die plus 6. So that is 9. Okay. So let's get started and get this. Well, not the show. I was about to say the show on the road, but there's no road here. So I suppose get the ship in the black hole, I think, is how we get started here. Right. So paragraph 1. Actually, well, there's no introduction in this one. No, actually not really. Which is unusual, actually. All the books before this one, this is the first book not to have an introduction before paragraph 1, as a sort of prehistory background, etc. And also it's the first one to have included the combat rules in the book itself, in the paragraphs, rather than having them in the beginning, and it's so you can just get into the game and you can do it as you learn it as you need it, which is, I think, a good thing. I think it works. Right. Panic. From your seat at the helm of the Starship Traveler, you study the VDU anxiously. Engineering section has reported an overdrive malfunction which has locked the warp engines at a 10% velocity gain. You are watching the velocity indicator advancing rapidly through the safe region towards overload. You hit the communicator button and call engineering for further news. It is not good. The malfunction cannot be traced, and it will take another 13 minutes for a system check to provide a full analysis. You are heading towards the Celsian Void, a known black hole. You may or may not avoid it, but your science officer has another plan. If you swing the ship through its immense gravitational pull, its gravity drag may help you reduce your speed as you travel away from it. This is worth a try, but the navigational tuning will have to be precise. You swing the Starship hard to starboard, as you enter the Celsian's gravitational field and fasten your eyes on the velocity indicator. To your great relief, the plan seems to be working. The gain comes down from 10% to 5% to 0 to -5%. Loud cheers come from the crew, but you're still watching the velocity indicator. It is now showing -15%, then -25%, and still falling. The ship is being sucked into the Celsian void. You hit the red alert button and instruct all ship's personnel to strap themselves down. The ship begins to whine and shake as it rapidly accelerates towards the black hole. There is nothing you can do to avert the impending disaster. An almighty explosion rocks the ship, and all the crew, including you, lose consciousness. Turn to 256. Right, so that's how it starts. Let's see. Yes, just make sure I got my... Yes, there we are. 256. So, right, so we're here. 256, and nothing new on the map so far. You and the other members of the crew are regaining consciousness. Again, you hit the communicator and call for systems damage reports. All systems appear to be intact, until engineering reports that the warp drive engines are dead. You are floating in space. But your drive reactor should be operational in 20 to 30 minutes. Your navigation officer is bewildered. He cannot identify your whereabouts, and the computer reports you are in uncharted space. Your science officer has run an event analysis, and you appear to have gone through the black hole through a dimension warp, and you are now in what seems to be a parallel universe. After some delay, you regain warp drive. Long-range scan indicates 3 solar systems ahead, of which 2 may have intelligent life. Will you press on towards the life-bearing system ahead? Turn to port towards the other life-bearing system, or turn to starboard towards the barren system. Now, what did I do last time? I went starboard. And of course, for those not familiar with nautical vernacular, on a ship, whether it's a flying ship like a Starship or a boat or a ship or anything, you designate directions based on the ship itself. So rather than saying left and right, it's actually relative to yourself, whereas port and starboard is not the same as left and right. It's actually left and right relative to the ship, which is a big difference, because as you're walking back away from the front of the ship, if you're walking abaft, your starboard is on the left. So, and that's why left and right is not the same as port and starboard. It's very important when you want to be very specific about, for instance, if you're standing lookout and you want to say where you see something, you need to say it relative to the ship. So you're saying it's port 15, for instance, which is 15 degrees off your bearing to the port side, to the left side. And also it has to do with how you security features. You might say there's an emergency pump on the starboard side at the aft, and there's one in front on the port side, etc. So things like that. So it's very important to, in order to be precise, that you do not use something that is only relative to the speaker, whereas you need something that's relative to the ship itself. So that is why port and starboard are important, and why this is being used on ships. So there we are. So last time I went starboard, and of course turning starboard, you can also say turn right actually, because that's, yeah, that works. But yeah, usually people say turn starboard. Right, so we have well, that seemed to be okay, but of course this time I want to explore something different. So I should maybe go to the port this time. So I'll go to port and see what is there. I mean, it may be that the path I've already taken is the best one, but I don't know that yet until I've tried the other one. So there we are. 273. You travel ahead at subwarp speed to allow your sensors to scan for information. They pick up a small object several thousand kilometers ahead and traveling towards you. You continue cautiously. At 5 kilometers it stops, and you do likewise. Sensors report a Class D Star Cruiser, and you prepare yourself with shields up. So, how would you have a Class D Star Cruiser on your sensors in a parallel universe, which would almost necessarily be different to your own? Yes, I know. A message comes in and you transfer it to the screen. A reptilian face appears in the uniform of authority. That's this guy here. As your translator tunes in, the alien's message becomes clear. I am Commander Kittel of the Imperial Gunzig Confederation. You are a non-registered ship trespassing within Imperial territory. Identify yourself and state your purpose. What will your reply be? Identify yourself as he wishes. Run an info scan on the Imperial Gunzig Confederation or open fire. An info scan, so could that be in our database, even though it's a parallel universe? Yes, I think I've spotted a few plot holes here already, but I'll give that a miss for now. So I'm just putting in the options here now. So we've got 3 options. Now that we moved to the port side, or maneuvered towards port, I'll run an info scan because I'm curious to see what my computer can know about this if it doesn't know anything about this universe. Open fire, always the last resort, and identify. Okay. So maybe I should identify myself first. Now let's run have a look and see what it says here. The ship's computer has no information on the Imperial Gunzig Confederation, which is good. You're not supposed to. Impatient at your delay, the Star Cruiser fires a carefully placed shot across your bows. It is absorbed by your shields, but at a cost of 2 shield points. Okay, so shields down to 13. Will you reply to the Commander Mktel's request? And I think I will. So we go to 281. So there we are, 281. You explain to the commander who you are and how you came to be in his territory. He is suspicious. He claims you as a prisoner and says he will escort you back to his starbase where your story can be considered by his superiors. He instructs you to prepare your transmatter unit to receive his first officer who will accompany you. Will you comply with his wishes or switch off the screen and activate phases? I'm going to comply with his wishes because my shields are not that great actually. So I'm going to, let's see, so that is 135 or 165 comply. So, 168, not 65, 168 comply. You leave the bridge and await the arrival of the Gunzigite in the transmatter unit. Within minutes, a body begins to materialize. The brown, scaly body of a reptilian being takes shape in front of you. You move forward to welcome the new arrival, but the creature snarls at you and draws a weapon. Through your translator, the Gunzigite commands you to lead him straight to the computer room. Your ship is following the alien star cruiser through space. You are a little suspicious of this intruder. Will you take him to the computer room as he wishes? Attempt to sidetrack him by taking him to a lower deck, or leap on him and try to overpower him. This doesn't seem to be going rather well, does it? It looks like the path I took last time was indeed the easiest one, because at the moment I can't see how this encounter can give me any advantages whatsoever. So of course, if this goes down the drain really quickly, I'll just start over. So, computer room, side track, or leap, overpower. I'm going to show into the computer room, even though that sounds suspicious. In the computer room, the Gunzigite instructs you to leave him alone. Return to the bridge and continue following his own ship. He inserts a small modem into the computer's access port to read its memory and transmit the information back about the Star Cruiser. Well, this will sort of prove our story if we do that. But from now on, you will be at a disadvantage in any encounters with Ganzigites, as they know your weapons and defenses. Deduct 2 points from your ship's weapon strength and shield score in any future battles with this race. Okay, so that's fair enough, I suppose. Ganzig, -2, -2. Your science officer has informed you of what the alien is doing. Will you take no action until you reach the Ganzig starbase or make plans to capture the intruder? 10 to 36. So we have 202. I'm just going to go to the starbase and see what happens there next. So we have... After several hours of sublight travel, you reach the Ganzigite starbase. It is a huge donut-shaped structure rotating slowly in space. You are instructed to hold the traveler in orbit and beam down to meet the Imperial High Commander. Your encounter with the Commander is enlightening. He realizes you are indeed lost in space, and in the interest of his own security, he wishes you to find your way back to your own universe. This you will only be able to do by returning through a space warp created by a black hole. The timing and location will be critical. He cannot provide any more useful information, but is sure that other planets may be able to help you, suggesting that you explore this galaxy for the correct time and location coordinates. For your part, you feed him with information about your own galaxy. He is disturbed by your ship's offensive weapons, but agrees to release you if you may insert a subroutine into your target tracking program such that you will never be able to fire on Imperial Ganzig Confederation ships during the rest of your voyage. You agree, and from now on you will not be able to fire phasers at these ships. So Ganzig, basically, I can't attack them, but I suppose that's all right. You beam back to your ship and plan your search for the time and location coordinates. 10 to 16. Okay, so that was maybe that was useful. So turning to 16. Let's put 16 over there. Right. So let's see what happens there. You probe ahead into space with your long-range scanners. On the fringe of your scan radius to port is a small star with an orbiting solar system which you may head for. Turn to 180. Otherwise, you may increase speed to warp and head off into deep space. So we have either check out a small solar system. Okay, so 180 or warp ahead. So 180 or 93. So that's warp. And explore. I'm going to have a little look at this star system now. See what's going on there. As you approach the small star, your scanners pick up 2 planets in orbit. One is a large red planet, which you may approach by turning to 258. The other planet is dull blue, and you may approach it by turning to 86. So we have planets 2, 5, 8 and 86, and that is dull blue or red. So either Mars or Earth, maybe. Dull blue, I don't know. Neptune. I'll go with a dull blue. I haven't been to a dull blue planet before. Is it a dull blue planet or is it a dull blue planet? Could be both. You increase speed towards a dull blue planet and start to orbit it. Short-range scanners indicate that it is a life-bearing planet. The most heavily populated area appears to be a city in the center of a large island. You may beam down into the center of the city, taking any other 3 crew members from the adventure sheet with you. or you may leave orbit. So we can go to 209, and I'm going to run out of space on this map if I play for a third time and go in this general direction, that's for sure. All 3, 2, 1. So we have 3, 2, 2, 1, which is continue. So I'm going to go down and check this out. So I'm going down, obviously, since I'm the captain. But actually, that's not obvious always. Sometimes you can send other people to do your dirty work for you. Let's see. So +3. So I'll definitely do one of the guards. Science officer. And engineering officer. Yeah, why not? Guard, science, engineering. Actually, let's do security officer instead of the guard. It's a bit better at fighting. So, captain, science, security, engineering. Usually when it says in the rules as well, you really should make a note of which people you're bringing down before you sort of read on, because you don't want to change your mind and cheat, do you, after noticing what you actually need down there. Right, so that's for your next life. So I'm going down, and that was which was which now? So that was 86. 209 is what I'm going to, yes, to examine the planet. You materialize on the planet's surface and look around. You are in a wide street of some kind, which is completely deserted. Buildings of sorts line the streets, and behind you a large building stands at the end of the road. The buildings are strange structures. They are a multitude of shapes and sizes, and all look incomplete. So maybe engineering was a good idea then. Might help out. You might either continue down the road looking for signs of life, approach the large building behind you, or try one of the smaller buildings. I'm going to... Okay, that's quite different. Very unusual building style indeed. So I don't really have room for all the options here, so I'll just do the one that I'm going for, and I'll leave room for the others for some other time. I might not return, you never know. I'm going to approach a larger building, starting with that. Steps lead up to the large building. An inscription on the door indicates that it is a building of some importance. You knock, but there is no reply, although you can hear excited chatter coming from within. You try the door. It opens and you step into a large entrance hallway. Several pairs of aliens of a variety of shapes and sizes cross the corridor in front of you, traveling purposefully from room to room and arguing excitedly with each other. A mysterious creature dressed in shabby blue robes notices you and shuffles over. Its face cannot be seen, but its eyes shine bright blue at you. It speaks, and your translator interprets. Ah, you look interesting. Where do you think the new medicine house should go? You explain that you are new to these powers and that you would like to meet some person of authority. The alien laughs. No one has authority here, my friend. We are all equal. Come, let me show you around. He offers to take you to the main meeting hall for a general tour. Right, let's start with the general tour, I think. So that was 73. And so that's large. And then we're going on 103. General tour. There's also one more option there. I'm not going to put on the map right now, just to save space. Your guide, who is called Feral, shows you from room to room, explaining the planet. Our gods are freedom and equality, says the little creature. This is an extremely pleasant planet to live on, and it welcomes settlers of all types. Everyone is entirely equal, whether they have lived here all their lives or have just arrived. Everyone may also do anything they like here. We have no need for laws. Yes. He shows you around the records office, planning area and rooms of state. Of course you need laws. At least you need the law that says that you shouldn't do unto others, etc. On the way back to the debating chamber, you pass the guard room. You ask why, if there are no laws, they have the need for guards. Fierel stops and explains guards do not guard things. We do not need to protect things. It's just that some members of our community get pleasure out of attacking others, and of course they are free to do as they wish. But in fairness to the rest of the population, they dress up in uniforms and call themselves guards, so as to warn others that they must be on guard when the guard passes. Do you understand? That's quite an interesting twist on it. While you are considering this, however, 3 of these guards have left their room and have crept up behind you. They leap on your backs and wrestle with you. Fierel backs away. So, right, so we got guards, which basically means thugs who like to cause trouble. I'm not sure this society works that well. You need some rules. You need some responsibilities. So we got that quite 877. Okay, so we've got so 8, 10, 7, 9, and 7, 10. Okay, so then we have to find out how hand-to-hand combat works. Although, wouldn't I be free to use my phasers? They couldn't do anything if I just phased them. Anyway, 342. This is where I find for the first time the rules for hand-to-hand combat. So here we are. Yes, important. Note the number of the reference you have just come from. So just to be sure, that is 103. I've got 103 noted there. Right, just so I don't lose it accidentally. So ship to ship, that's fine. Let's see, hang on, 342 was it? Yes, not 341. I started to read 341 there with the ship to ship combat. So, excuse me. So, okay. Hand-to-hand combat is conducted as follows. Combat is simultaneous, so that's like in the other fighting fantasy books. Non-weapon fighting is a series of clashes in which one combatant will do damage to the other. In the following steps, the term alien applies to any creature which is fighting against you or a member of your crew. The term you applies either to you personally if you are fighting the alien yourself or to any of your crew members, etc. So, so you roll 2 dice, alien skill, roll 2 dice, and your skill. Okay, so that's the normal fighting fantasy combat rules. If they're equal, then you start the next round, and both attacks missed. Damage, injury, wounds, and let's see, stamina -2, so that's also standard fighting fantasy. If a hand-to-hand combat situation has odd numbers, i.e. the sides are not equal, you will have to determine who attacks who. Everyone must fight an opponent, but if, for example, 3 of you fight 4 aliens, there will be 1 alien left over and you must decide who the spare alien attacks. You do this by rolling a die for each of your party. The highest roll is attacked by the spare alien in addition to the one he is already fighting. If there are more crew members than aliens, of course now I'm 1, 2, 3, 4 crew, and there are 3 aliens, so I'm more. You yourself may decide which of the aliens your spare crew member fights. If 2 or more crew or aliens are attacking a single opponent, you must treat this as a normal battle with an extra attack. Decide who the normal battle will take place between and resolve this attack on in the normal way. Then throw dice to determine the extra attacker's attack strength and compare this with the attack strength you have just rolled for the defender. If the extra attacker's attack strength is higher, normal damage has been inflicted, etc. Okay, so right, that is so pretty much I have to assign each of these 3. I just realized I'm way off the side here now. Okay, sorry about that. This has happened before. I think I put the camera in the wrong place again, but I'll sort that out next time. Anyway, so Each of these 3 guards have to be assigned to one of my people now. So, my security guard, let's see, I should take on the stronger one of them. So that's against 12, 21. My security guard should take on the second strongest, so that's 11, 20. And then the third, of course, that will have to be my science and security. So engineering officer, who of course now got -3, so he's effectively a 720, and he is also joined by the science officer, who is 616. So of course, the main attacker is the engineering officer, I think, because that sort of makes sense, I think, in the rules here now. So so do just one. But the thing is, what happens when somebody dies? Because it would make sense now if one of these battles is over, that the free crew member can go and join the others. Wouldn't make logical sense. It doesn't say. Yes, no, actually, after you've killed an alien in battle. Okay, so yeah, so once they're freed up, you can actually join the other fights. Okay. And I decide who is the sort of main attackers there. So, which of course in my interest is always to be the one with the highest skill, and sometimes I might change it based on the stamina. So okay, so I think I've got it now. So I'll start with the first alien versus me, and he's got a skill of 8. I've got a skill of 12, so I roll now 2 dice. It's usual, isn't it? 2 dice for each. Let's see, I'm 103. 2 dice for each. So his rolls 7, so that's his attack strength is 7 plus 8, that's 15. My attack strength is 2 plus 12, that's 14. So he injures me for 2 points of damage. Second one, the main attacker is the engineering officer, so that's 7 versus 7 skill. So the alien rolls a 7, my officer rolls an 11, so he hits the alien, and so, and of course he's got attack strength of 14, and my science officer is also trying to get in on the action. He rolls 6, which means he does not hit him, so he's down to 7. I don't think this is the best way to write it down, but I'll sort that out. Last one is my security officer versus the other alien, and the alien rolls 5, so that's his attack score is 12, and my security officer is 9, so he's 20, and he's down to 8. Okay, so that's the first combat round. Next combat round, me versus the alien now. The alien rolls an 8, so 16. I roll 4, so that is 16. Nothing happens. Next one, 7 versus 7. Alien rolls an 8. My officer rolls a 9, so that is another hit. And both of them hit, so that is down to 3 hit points, which I call it. It's always called stamina in the fighting fantasy games, but because I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons, and this reminds me so much of Dungeons and Dragons, I call it hit points, which, when you think about it, is a bit of a strange name for it. Stamina maybe is, or life points and things like that might work better, but hit points, it's a bit strange, yes. But you get used to it, and then you forget that it's strange. Right. So next one, alien rolls an 8, so that is 15, and my security officer rolls a 4 and is also 15, so nobody injures anyone in that battle. So the non-combatant, the most peaceful officers, the ones with the least weapons training, are actually doing the best here now. Right, next round. And 8 versus 12 now, so he rolls a 2. That means I definitely will hit him. I'll just roll anyway because I like doing that. And that means he is now down to 8 hit points. Next one, alien rolls a 7 again. My officer rolls a 7, so no injury there. And the second officer rolls a 9, so the second one hits him. And he's down to 1 hit point. Also, there's no mention of lock-in combat here. That's interesting too. Did I say somewhere in the beginning? I'm not going to use lock-in combat. I'm just saying that... yeah, no, it doesn't say. So in this book, there are no rules apparently yet for lock use in combat, or maybe there are no rules at all. But using lock in combat is something that was really big in Warlock of Firetop Mountain. But it seems that in the other books, lock is something that is wiser to preserve for other things that often are life and death situations. Right. Did I? Yes, new round, isn't it? So. Distracting myself now. So first one again is he rolls a 9, so and I roll a 5, so that is a difference of 4. So again, nobody injures anyone in that one. I'm sure they already roll for that. Anyway, it doesn't really matter so much. I think it's going to be okay. Next one, he's got 1 hit point left. He rolls an 8. My crew rolls a 6. So that's the one that's actually attacking him. So he goes down to 18. The other one rolls 10, which means that... Oh, I forgot what he rolled now, but that's... I think that's, if I rewind it now, which I can't do, that was more, so he is dead. Right. I will not, of course, I can't... I'm not going to redistribute them next round. My security officer rolls the 5 for the alien and the 5 for himself, so he's down to 6. So my 7, 18, and I think the other plus 60. Let's see. So these dead, and the other ones are going to join me and my security officer in fighting the other ones. Okay. So first one, alien rolls 4. That's an attack roll of 12. Just roll for, because my main attacker is now me. I rolled a 6, and my who is that now? The science, no, this the engineering officer. He rolls a 9, so that is 16. So I really should write these things down now, because now it was 16 I rolled for him, wasn't it? So 1, I can't remember for sure now. 1 hit. This guy rolls an 8. I'll just make a note of that now. So 15. I'll just write 15. Security officer rolls a 9. He hits him, and my other officer rolls a 5. Does not hit him, but does not get hit because he's not the main attacker. First one again. He rolls an 8. I'll write that down now. 16 attack number. I roll 12, so that's 1 hit, and my other officer rolls 7, so that is 14 and no hits, so he's down to 4 hit points. Second combat there, 5, so that is a 12 attack score, and my security officer rolls 6, so that is 17, and he misses. Yeah, okay, so that's 1 more hit there. First alien again rolls an 8 again, so that's 16. I roll 4, so that's equal, no damage. My other officer rolls 7, that's 14, no damage. Second alien rolls 5, takes him up to 12. Security officer rolls 2, no hit. My other officer rolls 6, no hit. Oh, hang on, 2. Hang on, yes, 13. Actually, that is a hit. And so he is dead. Only needed 1. Which means now everyone is fighting. So plus, so that's 11, 20, and 6. 16. Okay, so everyone is now fighting the first alien who's got 4 hit points left. He rolls 7, so that's 15. I roll 3, so that's 15, so no injury there. Second one is a 7. He needs to roll an 8. He rolls an 8 to be equal, so that's no injury. He was. My security officer needs to roll a 4 and a 5 or better to injure him, and he did. And the last one needs to roll in 10 or better, and he did. So he is dead. And that gets a bit complicated, it seems, but I think by writing down the attack numbers, I think that's the way to go, to make sure that I keep it all organized. So yes, new one for me, sort of multiple aliens versus multiple players, as it were, battle. And that is surprisingly time consuming. Right, so I defeat all the guards and I go to 150. I'll just move this out of the way there. Okay, so 150. Fiorel steps back out of the shadows and approaches you. He seems not to be in the least bit surprised by the scuffle. You ask why the guards attacked. Oh, for no reason, he says. They're free to do anything they like. You may now ask to be shown either the debating chamber or the travel and maps room, which sounds more interesting. Or you can leave the building and beam back to the ship, which also sounds like a good idea in this place. But I'm going to go to the travel and maps room because I am looking for a way back after all, and that's the kind of information that I may or may not need. And there's also two other options. One is 200 and okay, they're both different to the other ones, so I'll just put 2 more arrows going out there. So maps 194, very exciting. Excuse me just 2 seconds. Yeah, okay. I need the there we go, so I can see what's in shot now, so I don't accidentally move too far out of it. The travel and maps room is in a state of chaos, like the rest of the place by the sound of it. Books and charts lie all over the floor and the various tables in the room. A small withered alien with a large head, blue skin and long fingers is asleep in one corner but wakes as you enter. You ask first for maps of the planet but can learn little from them. While you wonder whether any of the star charts will be of use, the little man finds a large map and allows you to study it. Apparently you are in a solar system around the sun Magnus. Apart from this one, there's only one other life-bearing planet in this system called Trax. Orbiting Magnus, well, I knew that. I've seen 2 planets, haven't I? Orbiting Magnus a little further out. Trax was recently devastated by war and many of its inhabitants left to settle on this planet. Oh, excuse me. Getting a bit dry-throated there. The other 2 nearest planets, although light years away, are Huel Matter, orbiting a purple sun, and McCommon, orbiting a double star, and that's the one I went to last time. And of course the other one is the one I didn't go to, the purple star. No black holes are to be found on the chart. So you thank the creature for his help and leave the building, bidding goodbye to Fiorel as you leave. Outside you beam back to the ship. And that was the end of it. 290. Right. That was a bit anticlimactic in a way. Didn't really learn anything useful there. But there may be other paths there that actually do teach you something interesting. Back on the bridge, you set coordinates for your next journey. Another life-bearing planet orbits the same sun a little further out, and you may visit this next. Turn to 258. Or you may head further onwards towards a purple sun some light years away. Turn to 44. So that is... let's see, just 290 now. Means I may go to 44, which I've got on my map already from last time. Or 258. Do I have 258? I don't think so. But maybe I should just head for The other planets, let's have a quick look. Devastated by war. Let's have a look. You approach a large red planet at sub-light speed and set an orbiting course. Scanning the surface, you find no trace of intelligent life, but signs of civilization, and a fairly advanced one at that, are apparent. As you observe the planet through your macro telescope, you see that the surface is covered in a network of roadways and canals, focused every so often on what must be a population center of some sort. You try various radio frequencies, but there is no response. Will you beam down onto the planet's surface, or ignore this planet and continue onwards? I'll just continue onwards, actually. I think this... I don't know. I just don't have a good feeling about it. You resume your seat on the bridge and plot your course onwards. You have a choice between heading for a purple star with orbiting planets likely to support life. Well, we know it supports life now. Turn to 44. Or making your way towards a small cluster of stars, 2 to 3 light years off on the starboard course. So 44 or 79, actually. So, yeah. So this one goes there, and then it's 79. I'll go to the purple one. I'm a bit curious about the purple one, so I almost went last time. Approaching the purple star, your scanners indicate that the second planet has an atmosphere ideal for life. You drop into orbit around this planet and scan the surface. There are strong indications of intelligent activity. Indeed, it is likely that the planet's civilization is further advanced than your own. You may either beam down to the planet, turn to 171, or press onwards. So we are beaming down 171B. Or 250 onwards. 250 onwards. Okay, so let's beam down and have a look at the planet. Okay, there we go. You try an all-frequency broadcast several times, but receive no messages in reply. Selecting one officer and a security guard from the adventure sheet, you enter the transmitter unit and beam down to the surface. Okay, which officer? Could it be myself? I mean, I suppose it could be myself. Yes, I'll go down and the security guard. So captain plus a guard, and I'll do the 917 guard. You materialize in a deserted street. Tall buildings on one side tower over you, while on the other side of the street the buildings are small. Perhaps these are private dwellings. The architecture is alien. Yeah, well, don't need to be Sherlock Holmes to figure that out, I guess. But no life of any kind can be seen. In the distance, ahead of you down the road, you can hear a whirring sound. Soon you can see a strange vehicle which seems to be heading towards you. It is a hover car of some kind that is moving slowly. As you decide what to do, your translator picks up a sound. Over here, quick! You look around and see a man-sized, somewhat insect-shaped creature beckoning you into one of the small buildings. That's this gentleman here. Will you follow him in, or ignore him and wait for the vehicle to approach? Right, so... 108, follow, 263, wait. I'll follow him and see what happens. You run off the road and follow him into the building. Just in time, he exclaims. You don't want the PCs to find you in the street, do you? You have no idea what he is talking about. You explain you are not from this planet. He's on his guard. You reassure him that you mean no harm, you just want information which may help you to get home. And he calms down. You're on the planet Kulmatter, he informs you. The PCs you have just escaped from are the population controllers. On this planet no one dies, but as the population increases, it is necessary to exterminate some of us to make room for others. The PCs have the authority to exterminate anyone they like within certain quota limits. Without reason, they would certainly have killed you had they caught you outside after curfew hours. Suddenly, the door crashes open and 3 creatures in armored uniforms step in. I thought I saw them outside enter this building, the leader declares. Outside, he orders. Your host protests that you are aliens and did not know about the curfew laws, but the PC leader points a finger and an electric blue ray burns through his chest. You decide it would be prudent to follow the PCs outside. Turn to 140. So, this is getting a little bit on the interesting side, I think. So 140 outside. So right. You explain that you are from another planet and therefore know nothing about their curfew laws. It is illegal to be outside after curfew, says their leader. The penalty is extermination. Enter this vehicle. Will you enter as they wish, draw your phases and fire, or pretend to comply with their wishes and take them by surprise? Okay. So we have... Oh, sorry, bumped into the camera there. Right, so I've got 317, enter, 206, attack, basically, or 8, surprise. I think I want to pretend to comply with their wishes and take them by surprise. He doesn't like a good surprise. Merry Christmas. You walk up to the entrance door as if to climb into the vehicle. As you pass by the aliens, you signal to the others, and the 3 of you... 3? I thought I said 2. Hang on. I thought I was only 2 people down here. Hang on. Okay, so I'll just have a... Just double check now, because I would have misread it a little bit, so... yeah, of course, it's an officer and a security guard and yourself. So, 3 people. So I said captain, guard, and... since, of course, now I'll just pick one at random now because I wouldn't have known which one to go for. So I've got science, medical, security, engineering. And just roll this 1 to 4 and pick the one. And if it's 5 or 6, I roll again. So 5, let's roll again. 4, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Engineering officer going down with me. So I've got engineering officer, security guard, and myself. Okay. Sorry about that. Not used to this system yet. Right, so I was at 8. I need to drink a little bit more water because my throat is getting dry from all this talking. You walk up to the entrance door as if to climb into the vehicle. As you pass by the aliens, you signal to the others, and the 3 of you spring on them. This proves to be a rather fruitless exercise, as the 3 creatures are immensely strong. They fling you to the ground, but as you fall, you manage to grab the helmet of one of the aliens. It stops dead in its tracks in a very artificial pose, as if some switch had suddenly turned it off. The leader grabs the helmet and replaces it on his colleague, who instantly springs back to life. You realize you will be no match for the creatures and climb into their vehicle as they have ordered. Wouldn't you? You'd be much fun. Just make sure to remove their helmets. You know their weakness now. You know their Achilles heel. But your discovery may prove a useful clue in helping to escape from these PCs, yeah, maybe later, as they call themselves. If you proceed along certain ways, you will be called upon to make a skill roll. Your knowledge makes it likely that you will make the right move. You may deduct 2 from your roll when rolling against skill, which is marked skill, asterisk, asterisk. This will make more sense at the time. Oh, lovely. I know something now that I can use. Okay, so yeah, I'll remember that. We'll remember that, won't you? I mean, you remind me if I forget. So I'm going to 317 now. So 317. So that is definitely one step more useful than just complying. Because it didn't seem to have any ill effects. Right. As you enter the vehicle, it rocks from side to side. Your captors climb in and start the hover engine, swinging the car around the way it came. You travel for half an hour or so and finally stop outside a large round building. Other similar cars have stopped there as well, and numerous aliens are being led into the building. You are taken inside and put into a room which is evidently a cell of some kind, along with 4 aliens. They seem resigned to the fact that they are about to be exterminated as part of a population control program. You can't understand why they are so unemotional about their impending death. One of the uniformed creatures calls for your party. You will have to act quickly. Will you try to fight your way out? Try to contact the ship, or try to arrange to see someone in authority? So, 3 options. So 297, fight. 67, contact ship. I suppose I could try to beam us out, or ask to see someone in authority. I want to arrange to see someone in authority, because we come in peace. Take us to your leader. I'm not that sure that works here. I don't think... Would an alien actually say that? Or something to that? I don't know. You make your request, but the alien merely shoves you forwards. This is not possible, it replies. You are to be taken to the extermination chamber. You may try to overpower it while you are alone. 2297. Or you may follow it to see what will happen to you next. 215. Okay. Oh, no option of calling the ship anymore, though. I will see what happens next in that case. I'm not gonna fight it now. I hope that's the right thing to do. Following the guard, you turn down another corridor which leads to a large open room. Various armored guards seem to be directing civilians through a large open doorway at one end of the room from which a dull red glow is coming. You are directed to the end of the line. You have your science officer with you. I do not. If so, turn to 33. If you already tried to contact the ship, turn to 238. Otherwise, 309. So, science... question mark. So we have 39 contacts. So if I contacted the ship earlier, maybe they would have been ready to beam us up by now. Oh dear. Science 3 science officer and 238. Yes, contacted. Okay. 2 questions. So 309 is the only option I've got there because I don't have a science officer and I did not contact the ship earlier. So we have... The guards bundle you into line and you shuffle forwards with the others through the doorway into the red glow. You wait for an opportunity to escape. You cannot see what is happening through the door as the air is fogged. You step through. You have just stepped into an extermination chamber. A quick and painless method of keeping down the ever-expanding population on Kulmata. Your journey has ended here. Right, so that was another short-ish episode, I guess. But I'm learning new things all the time, so absolutely not a problem that it ended so quickly. I mean, these are some of my shortest episodes now. I mean, I've been playing for less than an hour. Anyway, maybe it's a nice episode length for people to watch, though. I mean, some of my episodes are 2.5 hours long. Right, so that was Starship Traveler again, and it's still an extremely interesting book. I do like that sometimes it feels like Steve Jackson is trying to give you little clues as to what you're supposed to do or not to do, and I do like that. Even though I don't always follow them, because I'm a bit curious to see what happens if I do something else as well. And this time I was definitely not trying to fail, but obviously I made the wrong choice. So I suppose the science officer may have saved me there at the end. So if I do go here again, I should bring my science officer just to be on the safe side, but I will also try to do some of the other things which may be better. And I know that the piece of information that I learned from trying to surprise them is something that will become useful in the future skill roll if I get to the right paragraph, which is nice to know, because that means it's potentially the right path, or at least sub path, if you go to this place here. And there may be something there that you need to learn to find the way to the end as well, but I don't know yet. So it looks like this might be a long slog actually for me. My last few books, as you know, I've finished in a few tries. Whereas when I was doing Return to Fight Mountain, I can't remember how many times I did that now, but it was certainly a lot more episodes. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for your patience in keeping up with me all this time, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed playing this again and finding some new ways to die in the parallel universe, which probably looks a bit too much like our own universe, because I sort of always know what is a house, and my translator seems to work, and yeah, it's a bit too parallel, perhaps, but that's all right. It's a common science fiction trope to do that sort of thing, so that's all right. It's science fiction can be. I mean, what makes science fiction realistic is that you feel like you're buying into the rules and how the universe is structured. Although, of course, there is absolutely no excuse ever to make an asteroid field where you can see from one asteroid to the next, to the extent that even they're trying to hit you all the time. That just does not happen. If you're in a real asteroid field in the real universe, you can be on an asteroid and you look around you in absolutely all directions. You would not be able to see another asteroid with your naked eye. That is an asteroid field in the real world. So, whereas in Hollywood, you have to be dodging asteroids that fly in all different directions, and just not going to happen. Something like that is more likely to happen if you are, for instance, in like in the rings of Saturn. That would be more similar to that, because but again, you wouldn't be bouncing all over the place. They would be more, because it's following in an orbit, so they're not moving much relative to each other. But of course there would be sort of bumps and crashes and things to some extent. So that is closer to how we see asteroid fields in films. And of course an asteroid field like that will look like a dense ring, or a sort of a torus donut shape field to us, but they only seem to exist in places with very strong gravitational fields and part of the rotational gravity sort of over the equator of a body like a planet, like Saturn, for instance. Anyway, and of course more like an early solar system as well would be more similar to that. But an asteroid field in the sense that we see in the movies, not at all. Right, that's my Hollywood asteroid field rant for the day, and so I will be back next time with my third episode of playing Starship Traveller. Maybe I'll do it later today, I don't know yet. I've got a few other things I need to sort out as well. I've got some laundry that's done. You may have heard the beeping noise in my video from my washing machine, and that means that the laundry is ready to dry. So, thanks for watching, and goodbye for now. Bye-bye.